All right, back like we never left. It's your man Kyle Means here. War Media, the empire continues to thrive. We are RegalRadio.com, War Ready on Substack, and of course, War on Anchor. You can see on the bottom of the screen, that's where you can listen to this podcast if you don't see all of it here on YouTube. But thankful for all y'all who will check us out this evening on YouTube. I think we got a pretty good show coming back after about a 3 week layoff. Guys have held it down for me with a couple episodes in earlier in the month, and of course you can check out Drew and Josh building on their own on the latest episode of In the Scope, which is up now on our all our yeah platforms and stuff. So good looking on that one with y'all, you guys. Glad to have you here tonight. Stormy night in the city. So not no reason for us not to chill inside and build with each other. And we're not going to be alone tonight. We're also going to have a special guest, really a big, friend and a mentor in a lot of ways, and a guy who's been a lot in the digital space and sports and writing and everything, and challenging, because challenging a lot of mainstream thought, we would say, but definitely a guy who's prolific, and knowing none other than Michael Tillery will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. He's been contributing a lot to Sportskeeda, and we're going to be talking to him about that and about a lot of other stuff that has been going on in the NBA that he's been writing about recently, including Ben Simmons. Mike is the man out there in Philly, so that's the one remaining big string that's going that's left in this NBA off season. We also have one here in Chicago with Lori Marketing, but we'll see. Go over some of those things and some of the things that have happened in our time away in a minute. But just starting off, guys, how things have been with you and everything.
Everything is pretty good, man. Pretty good. Can't complain too much, man. Glad we all, like you said, able to get together and build together. It's been a minute since three of us have been together, even longer since we've had our fourth man on a break with us. But I'm happy that we here in the here and now.
Definitely. Josh, you've been getting around a little bit. I've been helping you get around myself, but you got to the Shy League. We're gonna talk about that in a minute, in a little bit later in the show as well. The Shy League, the games over at Chicago State. We was kicked it at the Big Three a couple weeks ago. How that thing been with you lately?
Man, it's been good. Just getting the exposure out there. That's all for the most part. Always nice reconnecting with old friends, old guys, and then making new ones. So that's pretty much what that's been all about as of late for me. So that, it's all good.
Has it been a lot of I ain't seen you in a minute and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, it was definitely some of those for sure. But it was great to see some of our brothers in the game and come out there and support the Shy League, and then just be able to catch up. Especially since it's been a while since we've seen them with the pandemic and everything. So it was good. It was good times.
Right. And going to I put the title a title on this episode already. Basketball slows down, sort of like a play on that that basketball never stops saying and campaign that Nike had. So this is like basketball sort of has slowed down at this point in late August, coming off of the frenzy of free agency and everything earlier in the month, and the season was pushed back. Everything was pushed back a month because of scheduling and reaction. Ongoing impact of COVID in the pandemic and everything. Pushed everything back a month. So you had basketball competition square in the summer like it has rarely been. But now things are starting to slow down a little bit. You still only got like a month before we get back to training camps and stuff. But it's still a time here where the game is sort of, allowed, sort of chill. Everybody's sort of chilling a little bit right now, sort of guiding, getting a grips of things. And, as far as the league goes, and, in particular with the NBA, well, I guess you could say it's with college and high school too. On all levels, we're gonna get back to regular schedules and regular calendars when we get back deeper into the fall. You look at the NBA; they released the schedules last week, the national schedules, and each team's individual schedules, and we have again an 82 game schedule to look forward to. And no games starting in sort of the back half of October, and the All-Star game is going to be back in February this year, mid-February after being in March earlier this year. So, the normalcy is there, as far as the upcoming pathway for basketball, but hopefully nothing will mess with that. But that's a good place to start. I guess with the schedule release and everything, I'm sure you guys took a look at the Bulls and everything, and you had the Christmas game, the typical stuff that we pay attention to, the Christmas games and the national games, with what teams get what and everything, and the Bulls got about 12 games overall that are going to be nationally televised, but 7 of them are on NBA TV, which is cool, but it's those are like dual broadcasts. It's not like it's different from the TNT and ESPN broadcast. But Bulls got about 4 of the ESPN broadcasts and 1 TNT broadcast, for that matter. But I don't know, beyond that, or building off of that, or beyond that, what were your thoughts or anything that jumped out of interest to you guys about the schedule?
I guess they don't appreciate all the Bulls' moves enough to put them on a super big primetime stage. I mean, because one would think, especially with the Knicks and the success that they've had, and I think I saw a post about this, but with the Knicks and the success that they had this past year, they're running it back. You did get Kemba Cardiac Walker in New York. I mean, that's the big name with the Knicks, right? Along with Derrick Rose in your backcourt. And then now you have the Bulls, who made all these moves to create an ideal quarter-to-push top 10 big 3 lineup in the NBA with Levine, DeRozan, and Vucevic. And then now you don't want to put them on a big stage where you can have a Bulls versus Knicks or something like that on one of them top high-rate mainstream stations. I don't know. I just feel like the Bulls just got disrespected in a way, especially when you talk about the TNTs, because we're like the kings of TNT. We haven't lost a TNT game in years, right? And not to mention...
Well, we haven't been on TNT in about 5 years, but...
True.
But the TNT Bulls run has been legendary. But yeah, it's unfortunate they haven't been able to put that back to the test in recent years, and this apparently will only have one chance this year. The Bulls will. It's a good game. It's going to be the Martin Luther King Day game in Memphis. So that'll be a nice showcase. But it would have been nice to see them on a couple of Thursdays or something. With the regular crew and stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm with you on that, man. I thought that the Bulls might sneak into a Christmas Day game with the Knicks. A lot of storylines with that. We don't even have to go into that, but aside from the
they went with the playoff story. Like, it's Atlanta, right, with the Knicks, I believe.
Yep. But outside of the Bulls, in terms of the national television schedule, particularly the Christmas Day schedule, the NBA didn't schedule Jokic. The Miami Heat aren't on the Christmas schedule. So that kind of disappointed me. The fact that the NBA didn't perhaps give any thought to putting the two guys who were kind of the MVP frontrunners last year in Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, having those two guys score off in the Nuggets Sixers game would have been huge. Again, you got storylines, you got two of the best big men, if not the two most dominant big men in the game going head to head with each other. That would have been awesome to see. And I don't know, man. I think what the Heat did this offseason, and kind of just going off of, the bubble run that they had. I know they went off in the playoffs really, really kind of whack, man. They got beat pretty handily, but I thought that they would for sure make an appearance given them picking up Kyle Lowry and picking up PJ Tucker. But, I mean, I don't know. I guess it is what it is, man.
I mean, it's there's a good number of spots, but it's only so many still, 5 games, 10 teams, of course. But there's a lot of teams who, you could have that interest in to want to watch on the showcase day like that. It's D-Day for, as far as the regular season goes, for the league. So they're pretty choosy about that. It looks, it's interesting to me that the champs the champs aren't even in like the prime block of game, because like the Bucks are. I'm trying to get the list out, but the Bucks are like in that early afternoon game, that first ABC game, and then you have the prime block. I would say, I think you'd agree with, is the late afternoon game and the 7 o'clock game that are both on ABC. And at the 7 o'clock is on ABC and ESPN, and that of course typically has LeBron in it. This year has LeBron against again. I don't know. Do one of y'all have it? I'm trying to get it up.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, they got the Nets and Lakers.
Okay, yeah, Nets and Lakers. They're looking at it as the finals preview, and that's something I kind of want to talk about, because with the league, everybody is back to the Lakers Nets stuff, like the Bucks. But that's a discussion I think we'll have ongoing going into the season. But Bucks and Lakers and Nets in the primetime game. You can't understand that though. And the game before that is it was like the Suns and Warriors, I believe.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Yeah. So the Warriors are always an appeal there. The Suns, got a lot of attention, of course, getting to the finals, but they weren't the winners though. But also we're talking about the West Coast, so not necessarily gonna have them play at 1:30. So but it's a little funny though that the Bucks aren't even in that prime, in either one of those prime games. But they the Bucks, who the Bucks playing?
They're playing the Celtics, which is a weird.
Yeah,
that's a weird add-in, man. I mean, I get it that they got Tatum and they have Brown, and they made moves to get Schroeder in there. But it's just, I don't know, man. You could have put, like we talked about, we could have put Denver in there, could have put Philadelphia, Miami. I'm not mad at them putting the Celtics in there. I don't even know if I'm gonna watch that game.
Right, that's the game. That's the game where you could talk crap with your family. You getting your family together and y'all just talking and everything while the TV in the background. If something happened that's wild, then you look at it. Oh damn, look at that. But otherwise, it's just in the background, Or that's the travel game. That's when you go on your way to your people's house. You travel. Yeah, you traveling about 1-2 o'clock. Get there about 3 or 4, and that's the travel game.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I want to throw something up too. Josh mentioned the big three. he's talking about the Bulls, and there was a thing, a Bleacher Report list recently of big threes, and you talk about Boston. Boston in that list made an honorable mention along with the big three. The writer Zach Buckley. I'll put the link up too in a second, but he had Boston as an honorable mention with Tatum, Brown, and Marcus Smart, who recently secured an extension. Quite a few big extensions been secured in the past month. The Mavericks, Nuggets, Clippers, Blazers all are honorable mentions, but then he has the top 10 proper, and he has the Bulls in there at 10. So this is a writer who's given that big three, the Bulls, acknowledging the Bulls have a big three and giving them some respect there. So I mean, I guess it's just going to be a thing that the Bulls are going to have to show it throughout the season. But some people are recognizing already.
Yeah, my bad. Go ahead, Josh.
No, I was gonna say, I'm just saying it's not enough. I mean, it's to the point where you have those critics that from Bleacher Report that say, okay, Bulls have a big three. It's one of the best in the league. All right, cool. And you have other people like ESPN that are like, oh, DeMar DeRozan was the worst pickup of the offseason and stuff like that. And it's like, come on now. Like, the reality is at the end of the day, the Bulls are way better than they were at last year or any point in time since the Garpax era. That's really pretty much what it is at this point. You have your solidified star in Zach LaVine, who just won gold and became an all-star this past year. You have another all-star you compare with DeMar DeRozan, who can do a lot of things to lift the load off of Zach LaVine, especially offensively. Then you have Vucevic, who quietly last year had close to 25 points a game and 25, and I think it's 11, 12 boards while shooting 40% from three. I mean, look, that's the ideal big three that at least, especially in the Eastern Conference, should be playoff bound. And not just playoff bound, but like, in all honesty, shouldn't even be in the play-in tournament. They should be getting there pretty easily. So if that is the case, and you acknowledge that is a big three that's respectable in the league, put them on prime time. Give them more opportunities, man. Like, give them more opportunities because that's what they're going to want to watch. Zach LaVine is a star favorite. People love to watch Zach LaVine. People love to watch the Bulls in prime time. It's always been that way historically. So why not add to that?
The Bulls are one of the few teams that have a national fan base. Because of the 90s and everything. Even though it's been 20 years since that, the Bulls still retain a national fan base. So like you say, Josh, they get good ratings when they appear. When the Bulls are contending, there's a certain buzz that exists in that. So, but I think with the league, right, the league also has its sweethearts, and it seems like they're not off of the Golden State train yet. They're definitely not off the LeBron train yet. And the Nets are pretty hard to overlook in the East and stuff. And there's a graphic that I saw of the teams, like how the number of national games they got. Like there's like 4 of them got 25 apiece, and it goes all the way down to a few that got like one, at least one. And I think they just got to be. They need to do more to spread out the showcases. Like the NFL does this pretty good. They make sure that all their teams have at least one Monday night game or Sunday night game on their schedule. But the NBA sort of just allows a few teams to bogart all the Thursday night games or the Saturday night games or Sunday afternoon games. And back in the 90s, you could see why they did that because, of course, they were relying in the 80s and 90s. They were relying on a few different guys to power the league and promote the league through, of course, Bird and Magic and Michael and the Bad Boys in some way as an opposing team. But now I think the with the spread of talent now across the league and the way that NBA fans and media follow the league, we want to see more diversity in the matchups with the showcases and stuff. And I mentioned that that graphic had like it was like a pyramid of the teams and how you had the top teams on down. And at the bottom, I couldn't help but notice a team like Sacramento that only had one. Now a lot of people make fun of Sacramento, but if you a real hoop head, you recognize the talent on a team like that and be like, man, I would love to see them like match up. Like you don't put Sacramento against Minnesota, which is another interesting team potentially, but you put those teams up against Phoenix, Minnesota against Phoenix or Sacramento against the Lakers a couple terms and just showcase those teams in those, sort of potential statement games. And you like I say, you have a chance for those lower teams to make a statement, and you're providing that showcase for these great individuals like De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton and Edwards up in Minnesota and Karl Anthony Towns that would appeal to us who really follow the league and want to see these young talents be showcased and get their time in the sun. And the same, like I say, same can be said for the Bulls. Bulls are more in that middle area, but instead of like, why wouldn't you have the Bulls Nets be a Thursday night game or the Bulls Sixers? We played a pretty nice game with them on ESPN last year on a Friday, and that was a pretty exciting game. And why wouldn't you schedule that again? I don't know.
I think you make a great point, especially when you brought up maybe some of these lower tier teams playing against some of the higher tier teams, because then you have that whole spotlight, like you said, a statement game where a Kings team or a Rockets team or maybe even a Pelicans, they want to play up to the level of competition, and the incentive for the big boys of the league is there because they're on national TV. They don't want to, quote unquote, be made a fool out of a team that is likely going to be fighting for their play-in lives. But the way that fans kind of watch the league now, I do feel like more people know about more players on every team. You still have casual fans, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the way that analytics play a part in how we kind of view the game or inform ourselves about some of the better players or better teams in the game, like, yeah, you hit it you right on the money with that, man.
And the casual fans, that's who you want to gear things for in the playoffs and the finals. The hardcore fans are the ones who watching Friday games on ESPN and Thursday games. They stand up at midnight to watch, and watch inside the NBA afterwards. Those are the hardcore fans. Other people got jobs. They stand up every week.
And to kind of shift it back to the Bulls, I am surprised they weren't given more national TV games. Now, granted, they've got more than they had last year, but in taking into account the moves they made this summer, how they've been talked about more in the national media, you think they get more coverage. But at the same time, maybe it's a gift and a curse. It adds to the chip on the shoulders of Derozan and Vucevic, Veen, who, while they are talented players, have never really been labeled as winners because of one reason or another, for better or worse. So, there's a lot of chalkboard material out there for them to kind of put the battery in their backs for this season, and we'll see if they can prove the doubters wrong.
And the chemistry is there for the Bulls. Now I got to mention this before we bring Mike on, but there's a headline I came across today about DeRozan shouting out Zach LaVine in a song he did with Problem, West Coast MC, and Rob Schaefer wrote about this in for NBC Sports Chicago, and the line apparently is moved to the Windy City. Top 5, we gonna win. Zach Levine from the line. All you clowns on the pine, count it out just fine. Okay. Hey, he trying. So I didn't know Derozan was rapping like that, but we traded one wannabe rapper in Denzel Valentine and got another one. So, at least Derozan's points per game is gonna be better than his rhymes. So if one of y'all wanted to shout another runner out on a rap, what would be the first one you shout out?
I don't know. That'd be a good one. I feel like I'll probably do the Mines just because, D being here since I was in the beginning and how he recruited me here. Probably it will be D. And then I'll probably talk about D and Davis. Blue check tone. Got to put blue check tone in there. So it's like a process. I think I would go by the process of who I met and really linked up with as I got to up to here, which was, you, Kyle, D, Ken, Tone, Sid.
He's gonna rap about everybody.
I'm rapping about everybody. I'm about to do a whole war song. Like I'm about to do a whole war song. Just put everybody in that joint. Everybody that used to write or produce, whatever. Just put them all in there.
Be like Last Call, Kanye.
Yeah, very much so. Well, he's Ye now. He's filed that trademark to change the legal name legally to Ye. So we gotta call him just Ye. It's not Kanye.
I can't keep up with him.
I don't know, man. It had to be probably one of y'all two guys, man. Being that I wasn't a part of the family yet when
you don't have as much history.
Yeah. So I'm kind of coming on late to it.
That's cool. I mean, I do like Ice Cube and just air all y'all out.
Damn.
No Vaseline part 2.
I can't even be mad at it, man.
No, I'll just play. We got Michael Tillery here, man. This a guy I'm not gonna diss rap anytime soon. The big homie. How you doing, Mike? What's going on? First time on Running with WARR. He's been on Regal programming, of course, but first time on this particular show. We glad to have you, man. How you doing?
What's up? How y'all doing? What's up, good brothers?
All right, how you doing,
What's
man?
up, man? How you doing?
Right. Good to meet y'all.
Same here.
Likewise.
Mike, what's your favorite diss track of all time?
Jack the Ripper.
Okay, that's old school. Man.
Yeah, Jack
don't even know what that is.
I used to bang that on little cassette joint, and I used to also record songs off the airwaves. So I had that, and it was Mantronic's "Got to Have Your Love." It was that track, and it was what was her name? The song called "Love Is Contagious."
That's getting back too much for me now.
Yeah, I mean, you took me back when you said this track. I mean, I no Vaseline, cool. I ain't like hit him up. You know what I'm saying? And Pac's my man. But go back to L and just the whole thing with everybody else back then, man. Kumo D and I'm getting gray hairs talking. I mean,
man, I don't know. You said Jack the Ripper real quick. They came back fast. Like
that's a legendary beef, though.
I mean, it's in heavy rotation still. You know.
Yeah. What do you think about ballers? Like you see, where is that coming from? That's the baby trying to do.
Yeah, that's just downstairs, the baby, man.
The baby want to shout out.
You know, I'm Pops now. That's just, you know, that's
congrats.
What it is. I got another one coming September 8th, man. They just like plop, 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 plop. You know, so yeah, gray hairs. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, that's wisdom, man. That's wisdom.
That's wisdom.
But yeah, I was gonna say, what do you've been around a long, and you've had, you know, run-ins with people like AI who's dipped into, you know, rapping and stuff. What do you think about this ongoing fascination with, you know, ball players trying to rap and stuff like that?
I mean, it's the opposite. You know, the rappers want to be ball players. So
definitely.
I mean, we all like to do what we can't do. You know, I mean, I remember being in LA. This is as a fan. This is February of 2001. It was a couple of days after that Super Bowl, that Titans ran Super Bowl. So I had on an Aaron McNair jersey, and I walk into Staples, and I look up and I see Isaac Bruce, you know, just sitting there. And look, I'm a fan. You know what I'm saying? My first time in LA, we had drove from Vegas. I mean, we was excited, right? So I walk up to him. I was like, "Can I have your autograph?" And he looked at me. He's like, "You know what I'm saying?" So finally, he gives it to me in a penne work. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, "Fuck you." You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm trying to pay you homage, even though I'm wearing Aaron McNair's jersey. And you know, he was on some. Y'all won a Super Bowl. Y'all didn't lose it. You know,
right? You should have been you know, should have been salty.
Yeah, but anyway, it was you know, KG versus Shaq, and Shaquille O'Neal was just so huge. Some of his feet was so gigantic, and they was so white, the sneakers, and you know, Lisa Leslie kept walking by, and I turned around and bumped right into Vanessa Williams, and almost fainted. You know what I mean? I almost fainted. But listen, her sister is badder than her.
What?
Yeah. Oh, she was it was crazy. I don't, you know.
You about to have me start Googling, man.
I'm saying, man, what's she been?
Yeah, it was. I mean,
that's a true Hollywood story, though.
Yeah, she looked a lot like her. I don't even know where I got in the story. Well, I'm delirious, Joe. I've been writing like 3 features a day for the last week.
Yeah, let's get into that, man, because you know, a big part of why I asked you to come on was like you really been pumping out a lot of work with Sportskeeda since, you know, just like I've only seen you writing for them for the past couple weeks, but you've had like multiple articles out with them each week, and it's really like a treasure trove already of discussion that I've seen from, you know, the subjects that you've taken on, a lot of historical stuff as well as current stuff. And you know, if you just want to talk about the work that you're doing right now, like you know, for those who don't know, like this man, like I said, is a pioneer in a lot of ways, a really a guy who's broke through a lot of doors for people like us who, you know, independent media, black media, you know, independent sports, you know, independent thinkers in sports world. And, you know, starting5.net is a legendary website. He's broke some great stories on there, and there's some exclusive interviews with some big names and everything. He's done work with people like Chuck D, Rap Station. Like Mike has done it all, and he's done it, you know, like, you know, without compromising anything. So, you know, we give you that respect and those flowers, but, you know, just to have you, you know, doing this new work now and just really putting yourself out there is a really cool thing to see. But just in your words, you know, you want to talk about what you're doing now and what the focus is now.
All right, so for the last 3 years, I've been writing a book called Dream Come True. And Dream Come True is a horror fantasy. Basically, it's murdering of all white supremacy that's ever existed everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Unapologetically by a character who was reborn, and he melds with a human character. His name is Master Lunkin. And, you know, the banter in between them as they're together is kind of hilarious, but they're basically just going through time and smashing everything, like in all kind of different ways. I need my people to unapologetically rid themselves of this PTSD. You know, the only way to do that is to cauterize it, you know, and I don't care who likes it. You know, it's something that I have to get out of me, because what was happening in the sports realm is I was seeing too much. You know what I mean? I was learning too many things that kind of ruined the 12-year-old little leaguer in me. You know what I mean? It was just horrible, you know? And what happened was, you know, after I interviewed Skip Bayless, it's still the most hit piece on my site. It was a 3-hour interview. I wanted to get everything out of him. And all of that interview is what's happening now on 2 stations, right? And what happened with me is I'm a writer. I'm not a journalist. Like, I'm a writer. So hearing how sports was becoming this debate thing back and forth, you know what I mean? It ruined the writer in me. You know, it was like I can't write this bullshit. Sorry, y'all.
No, you good? You good?
You know what I'm saying? I said I can't do it. You know, and then I got into this thing where I'm texting Skip Bayless every time he's saying something crazy on First Take, and I had to say to myself, you have to rid your soul of this negativity. So the only way to do that is to just stop watching ESPN. You know what I'm saying? I just stopped watching ESPN, you know, and it's a shame because a lot of my friends are on there. You know, a lot of my friends work there, you know, and it's no disrespect to them at all, but it's just more about the programming, entertainment, sports network, you know? So, I sat back, man. Like I said, I became a grandfather, foster uncle, you know, went back into civilian life, and, you know, had season tickets to the Sixers, you know, right behind Meek Mill. So him and, you know, when he was dating Nikki, you know what I mean? That was a crazy thing, you know, and Robert Kraft would be there. You know, and the former Eagle who's up in New England now would, you know, go back and forth and eat each other's French fries with this dude. I forget the guy's name, man.
The safety.
The safety, yeah, green hair.
Yeah,
Jalen, yeah. And it became interesting because at that point I hadn't watched a game as a fan for like 10 years. You know? And right behind me, coincidentally, I know you said you want to talk about this, sat Ben Simmons and Ben Simmons' father and his mom, you know? So, you know, the journalist in me is still ticking. So, you know, I would go up and we would talk, you know, and very cool people, you know, very cool people. It seemed like there was some underlying going on. And I didn't know if it was positive or negative. You know, and, you know, all this time, his sister would be at the games too, you know, basically taking advantage of the spotlight that her brother's affording her. You know what I mean? Not in a bad way. You know, I understand why family members do that at times, you know, but, you know, over time, you know, I'm not covering the team at all. And I'm speaking to the players, getting them that, you know what I mean? As a fan, you know, it felt crazy being on the sideline like that, you know? So after the games, you know, I'm seeing everybody, you know, all the journalists, you know, go back into the pressers and, I'm like, man, I'm going home. You know what I mean? I got a beer in my hand. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, what's up, Elton? But I got a beer in my hand. I'm not talking to him, you know, as that writer anymore. And so it got weird for me for a while. You know, it came out on Facebook. You know, the bitterness. You know, in my posts. You know, I was posting all the time just about social ills. You know, so that let me connect with that side of it. You know, just the humanity side of it. You know, obviously, what I do as a journalist, I try to, you know, humanize the athletes so we understand the stories, so they can be the soul models that we need them to be. You know, so all of this stuff was happening, man, and you know, my girl got cancer. You know what I mean? And double mastectomy, hysterectomy. You know, the whole thing. Having to watch that. You know, so you talked about wisdom earlier. You know, the wisdom is there. I'm a different writer now. You know, it's fun for me. Writers write. You know, I was seeing all my friends go from becoming writers to being pundits, you know, on TV. And I'm like, yo, what happened to the writing? You know, the whole blogosphere is where all the writing came out of. The good writing came out of the blogosphere, and it was able to meld with the mainstream outlets. And you're seeing like Mike Florio, you know, Wojo, you know, they all came from blogs, you know. So, but you know, my thing is, like you said, I never wanted to compromise anything. I didn't have bikinis and alcohol on my blog. You know, I wanted to just be organic. You know, maybe that was an era, you know, because, you know, the blog did blow up. We won some awards. You know, shout out to DK Wilson. I think still think he's the most gifted writer ever lived. You know, we were doing some things, but, you know, all this time, you know, what I was doing was I was taking it all in, you know, from the athletes, from the administration, from the owners, from the fans, from my family members who were critical at times that, you know, I have to take that, and all things. So I am now ready to write again. Like I get up like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and can't wait to write. You know, and I haven't had that itch in a long time. You know, so this is why that's why I'm pumping out all those articles, man. I got a couple more coming tonight. I got one talking about Steph. You know, why isn't he really in the GOAT discussion? And then I got one talking about why Paul George is such a target. You know, so but
definitely. I'll say I'll definitely advise my audience to look out for those and to follow you online, and we'll do all that towards the end. But I wanted to go over some of the pieces that you've already published, some of those, and you know, starting with the Ben Simmons piece. I put the link up in our comments already. The title is there a deeper story going with the Philadelphia 76ers enigmatic start? I just want to read this quick excerpt towards the end of this piece. In the year, this is of course Mike writing. In the year of examining mental health in pro sports, to shine away from what could be obvious reasons for a lack of success, let's have the convos. The same convos the sports world had with Naomi Osaka, Sha'Carri Richardson, and Simone Biles. The fans deserve a chance to understand just a little more thoroughly the players driving a love for the game. There's more to this Ben Simmons story, and while the summation of X's and O's won't break Simmons' bones, not having the correct combos will never help him. So, you know, pretty much that's the heart of the piece. I would guess in your opinion that we're not having the right conversation in regards to Ben Simmons. It seemed like the conversation pretty much is centered around getting him the hell out of Philadelphia. And, you know, I'll ask you about that as well. Do you think that needs to happen? But, at first, if you just want to explain, go beyond those thoughts that I read from your piece right there.
So me being a reporter, not going to J school, or coming up in traditional newsrooms, I'm a blogger. And I lucked up, and we were the first blog to be credentialed by the NFL and the NBA. So I was seen differently. It was a push from my journalist friends, Jamel Hill, Scoop Jackson, Bomani Jones, David Aldridge, Dan Levertard. What I did to find out about journalism and go to J school was to interview all of these journalists. It was very extensive interviews. They were 2 and 3 hours long. It would take me 24 hours to transcribe these things. I was putting in the work. The work is what makes the wisdom work. So me having those conversations with journalists, and then when they would see me get off an elevator at the finals, they were like, "Yo, how you get here?" Y'all helped get me here. They were mentioning my name in articles. ESPN did this thing called blog something, and they would feature the starting five all the time. It was cool, but then all the celebrity things start happening. That was my intention as well, to interview anybody and everybody. And I started going to a bunch of charity events and linking up with publicists and managers and agents and family members, and building relationships with people. Just genuine relationships with them, and that's how my phone has been filled up. But it was a calculated thing to do the journalism interviews and to go to all the charity events, to make the connections, to become the insider that I am. The thing with Sportskeeda is they have they're youngsters. They got a very gifted staff. Like, this was a 3-month interview process. I saw the advantage of me not only talking to America, but speaking to the world. This is an Indian website, so I'm getting opinions from Indians, and it's causing my perspective to be expanded. This is a whole world out there. Like, if you were to go to Africa and listen to hip hop, it sounds all like the 90s, like the same beats, same flow, everything is so beautiful. The world is looking at basketball now and seeing something that is just starting to just roll across the entire world, like an empire. This is what basketball was coming. It's like a new thing. And India is trying to grasp onto this sport in America, and seeing and hearing the perspectives of their people is, it's great for me. If I don't ever write for American outlet again, I'm cool. And it's not even a diss, but it's a different type of language. I'm not talking about the Indian language. I'm talking about the way they talk, the how the deadlines are formed. The attention to detail. Like, if I wanted to write 6 or 7 articles a day, they wouldn't let me do it. That's how much they want it, and I'm trying to give it to them. I'm really trying to give it to them because, again, like, if you can fit like 10 Americas in Africa. I'm saying that just show you how small we really are to the world. If you go to Sportskeeda's website, you see a bunch of cricket and WWE and MMA and all those type of things.
That's how I came familiar with the site before you got on there. Was their coverage of WWE and MMA and stuff like that. Like, it's a truly international website, and what you writing for them, it seems like it makes more sense to me the way that you've approached these early posts that you've made. It seems like you're really playing the role in a lot of ways of maybe a translator or at least an educator for these other nations, and as well as like doing the traditional role of a columnist or a current day writer or a writer focusing on the current day stuff. You're also providing a lot of history and historical context to the stuff that you're writing.
Yeah, because the conversation is different. It's not all about the debate. It's really not. Like, they don't care about who the GOAT is. They don't care. They don't, and I love it. I love it. This is almost like me being a coach again. When I was coaching sports for the majority of my life, that was for the love. I fell out of love of sports because of all of this bullshit going on in this nation. Like, you don't hear Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, for everything. That's where it seems like the whole sports thing comes from either a love or hatred of LeBron coming out of the decision, Yeah. The decision is what is now, they're going on their second $1 billion TV deal. And everybody was like, oh shit, I thought people didn't like the NBA, right? But then when they announced this new deal, I tried to tell everybody the global expansion coming out of the lockout is starting to form. Whoever was barnstorming in specific countries, a couple that stayed in there longer. I think it was J.R. Smith and Kenya Martin stayed in China even after the lockout ended. That was brand marketing for the NBA. And now their fans, the ones who saw these players in their countries up close for like the first time ever, now they clamor for the sport that they got to be up close and personal with. So I'm being their eyes right now. What I'm doing right now is giving them a lot of the quotes and relationships that I have with former basketball players, current basketball players, coaches. Again, as you say, to be like almost like a gateway to them, and to show them organically what the sport, which I call soul rock soul, I can show them what it is outside of an argument. I don't want to argue. The argument was beginning to give me anxiety, man. I'm watching this ESPN, whatever, and I'm doing something. I'm hearing Stephen A. screaming and hollering, and I'm like, oh, come on, man. What is this? I know Stephen A. from Philadelphia.
I'm sure you go back with him.
Yeah. I just was being front row and talking to him, and all the fans would come down and wanted to take pictures with him. I was so proud of this dude. That's okay.
He hosted Jimmy Kimmel last night. That's
how far he's come. Yeah. That's what's up, man. I'm very critical of the brother at times. Because it's like an outside looking in thing. It's like an inside looking out thing at times. You understand what I'm saying? When you know too much about sports and you see behavior by its stars, it's hard to process at times. So like I said, I had to back away because the knowledge it was like too much. I knew too much.
I'm gonna let my guys jump in with a couple of questions to say. But before that, I want to throw out another post that you wrote and going into that area of historical value and sort of educating as well as informing. You wrote about Len Bias and Hank Gathers recently, and how their depths impacted the NBA's power forward position. And it's amazing to think about the way that they played the game. I was like 5, I think, when Gathers died, I really can't give much on bias that hasn't been reported by others. When Gathers died, all I remember, the first thing I remember is like the TV movie about his life and stuff, you know. So I that's a little bit just before me when I really got into basketball. But I've seen, of course, I've watched them play in highlights and everything, and you know, those were some amazing, you know, the things that they did. Bias, of course, in Maryland, and Gathers with Loyola Marymount. There's a pretty good 30 for 30 on the Loyola Marymount late 80s teams, and gathers, and it's they like the way that, like I say, they impacted the way that big men played the game of basketball, period. And it seems like to this day you got athletic big men who are trying to do things that they did really easily 30 years ago, 35 years ago.
See, man, the joy of you is you reminded me of something that I wanted to put in this piece.
Okay.
I wanted to compare the development of Kawhi Leonard, to what would have happened to Len Bias on a smaller scale, but Hank Gathers on a bigger scale, because he was so versatile. He could get to spots through his athleticism and strength, but he really hadn't developed like the ability to put the ball on the floor or anything like that. He was just winning because he had brute strength.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was a tremendous athlete. He was able to dominate bigger men because in a way like a middleweight could pin a heavyweight in wrestling. That's how he was doing his thing. Len Bias was, I used to call him the bigger Jordan. Michael was the little Jordan to me. That's how amazing Len Bias was, even comparative to Michael Jordan when they would play each other. I mean, you saw the greatness that is now LeBron James and Len Bias back then. Talking to Spencer Haywood all the time. Like, I love talking to these old heads like that, man, because they really give me the view of the game that I don't have. And, him talking about Len Bias was just so great to me. I hated the Celtics. I'm from Philly. You know what I'm saying? I hated the Celtics.
Sure.
I hated them, but it was a hurt piece when he died. I remember where I was standing, looking at my parents' TV in the den. It was 1986, 87. And the same thing with Hank. I'm sitting down at Chili's after watching this horrible movie, and I'm sitting down. The beer's coming. I can't wait to eat these wings. That my friend had never eaten wings before. I'm gonna show her how to eat wings, and I see the oop, and then I see him fall to his right, almost like he was standing on the side of a wall. That's how he fell. And I said, yo, that don't look right. But we all knew that, previously he had passed out at the foul line. So we were all fearful for him. We thought he was cool. Medication came and we thought everything was cool, but apparently he was weaning himself off this medication, and that might have killed him. But the Karl Malone thing, he could have been with the right tutelage and teaching to get him to kind of develop a jump shot. The jump shot would have been a continuation of all of his weapons that he would have murdered people inside with. So if he got a jumper, he just would have been an incredible player. Len Bias, I looked at him like Plastic Man. He was just able to get to anywhere on the court with terrible ease. So you were seeing something special to me that I hadn't seen until I watched Kobe in high school. From Len Bias to Kobe Bryant, I didn't see any talent like that. It was he just, but he would do it with a smile. But then he was so mean. Like I put in this piece, an article, an interview that I did with Adrian Branch, who was my favorite player in college basketball growing up. You know, for me getting a chance to interview him was great, as if I was talking to Chuck D, right? So, you know, he's telling me all kinds of things about Len Bias, you know, and his nickname Frosty, and how they were rivals. You know, they didn't know each other because TV was different back then, you know, and then we got a chance to be on each other's team. You know, they said, look, we ain't going to fight. We're going to do this for 3 years. And he was just privy to the greatness of this kid, you know, with this, like I think I said in a piece, you know, he had a magic smile with Jordan's flair. You know, we were really robbed of a generational, not just an athlete, but a personality. And you know, him going to Boston, you know, and basically taking over for Larry Bird would have been incredible. I would have hated it, but it would have been incredible. Then Boston, you know, it goes through the same thing with Reggie Lewis later on. You know, it was bad. It was weird. It was ominous. We didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, it's just it's really like dumbfounding, like the tragedy, and it's, you know, dual tragedies too, because you had just the tragedy of what we lost as sports fans and basketball, you know, lovers of basketball, being able to see what he would have done on the court. And there was also the tragedy of the overplay that our politicians and stuff made in reaction to that death, and the things that they've done to, you know, to affect drug laws and everything, mandatory, you know, mandatory sentences and all this stuff, you know, trying to act like they were being proactive.
Specifically the mandatory sentencing right there.
Yeah. So it's like I say, twin tragedies and stuff that you know, definitely if you're into basketball, you should take, you know, really look at that era and think about, you know, study it and think about the changes that came across in society at that time. You know, there were quite a few players who got into the league who got busted on drug cases and stuff, and they got kicked out the league. And it was really an interesting sort of semi-tragic time. But it was underneath everything that was happening with this blossoming of Magic and Larry and Michael and stuff. But it was the underside of that, and you know, it really affected a lot of things that's gone forward.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a great time for me because the beginning of hip hop, you know, the discovery of Public Enemy, you know, and then there's just basketball. It went from Georgetown it went from Louisville versus Duke in like '87. Then it went to Georgetown, all over the place. Then it was UNLV. Then it was the Fab Five. Then it was Ron Mercer and them at Kentucky. You know.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna let my guys jump in with a question or two. What y'all got?
So you spoke earlier about losing the love, and I had a similar situation where I kind of, different reasons, of course, just not really writing and tapping into that part of me that, you know, I've come to rediscover again. I found it kind of in the Last Dance documentary last year, and I wonder what was it for you? Was it a moment? Was it a something that happened? What was it that kind of got you back in?
It was the Last Dance. It was the Last Dance.
Okay.
Because and there's always a love of this guy, you know.
Definitely.
You know, so yeah, it was the Last Dance. Everybody was cooped up in the house, man. It was hard for me not to see my girl, man. I call her Little Sexy. You know what I'm saying? I needed to see Little Sexy, and I wasn't seeing Little Sexy. You know, so you know, I'm over here. I was tripping out a little bit, man. But then you began to adapt. I went from smoking, you know, the whole time, you know, everybody's in quarantine, to just cold turkey quitting that, and just really focusing on, excuse me, getting my mind right again. You know, there was a big adjustment. I kind of thugged out these first couple articles that I wrote for Sportskeeda. I wasn't writing at all. After I was done this book and it's in the editing process now, I stopped writing completely. You know, there was nothing. I would maybe put, if we saw maybe 700 words on Facebook or Instagram, I mean, that was a lot, but that was more banter in my style, not in my writing style. So I completely stopped. But, you know, once I did this, and they were very challenging, they were very demanding of me, you know, because, you know, I negotiated a pretty good deal, you know, so they want me to make sure that I do what I got to do for that deal.
Sure.
And it became a melding of ambitions, you know. You know, I just feel reborn because I'm away from Kobe versus LeBron. You know what I'm saying? I'm away from that. You know what I mean? I don't know if y'all understand how damaging that really is to someone. I love my people. I always support my people. I write about my people. I prop about my people all the time, everywhere I go, unapologetically. I don't care who's talking to me. You know what I'm saying? I love my people. That's it. So when I'm seeing these things, and it was hard for me to get to them. So what happened was Clubhouse happened. And so I would go in specific Clubhouse rooms and hear the craziest things, like Tracy McGrady is the GOAT. Yeah, right? But I began to realize it's all about your eye view. So whoever said Tracy McGrady was the greatest, that's who he grew up watching. Tracy McGrady was very gifted. I can see why somebody would say that if that's what they're watching. Like, you know, Chicago. So, you know, Derrick Rose told me that the only basketball he ever watched was Mike and Scotty. So then he has an ambition of becoming the greatest basketball player ever. That's because of his eye view. Scotty and Michael were elite for time. That's all he watched. That's what we saw. This crazy how their talent, him watching that, you know, kind of metamorphs into that dude. That dude was a bigger Iverson. I mean, he was just an incredible player. You know, whenever I just want to get hyped up, I just look at that dunk on Dragic. You know what I'm saying? I gotta see it sometimes. You know, I gotta see it. You know what I mean? He crossed up Andre Miller here, and I was at the game, and I turned around, and my son was at, you know, right behind press row, and he had his hands over his mouth. You know what I mean? He was at the time, he was the most athletic point guard to ever come into the league. And what I think would have happened if Derrick Rose did not get hurt, I don't know if the ascendance of Steph Curry would have happened. You know, because you're getting the continuation of Iverson and Rose, with a bigger dude and youngest MVP ever, you know, battling LeBron in the Heat. You know, I mean, he was an incredible player. He had this tough coach in Thibodeau. You know, but it was hard for me. Again, I think this is where the bitterness started, because I was talking to Derek at half court before a Sixers game, and I just kept seeing this feathery jumper out of my periphery here, and it was Joel Embiid. You know, I'm like, but he wasn't playing yet. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, who is this dude? You know, he was an incredible player, but I was talking to Derek because the media was driving a wedge through them. I could see it, and I'm not even from Chicago. Just in the questions they were asking him, and I said, "Yo, this isn't the job for me. It's not the job for me. I don't want to create stories." This is the reason why I clash with a lot of my journalist friends, because sometimes journalism is absolved because it's creating stories. That's the whole thing. You create the story. So if the story's not true, it's going to clash with me. If the conversation is just very moronic and menial and whatever, it's going to clash with me. I don't know if y'all saw the Malice in the Palace documentary. You know, when Ron said he didn't like people. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like people, man. I didn't like people. You know, I'm like, yo, you're stupid as fuck right now. Like, what are these conversations that we're having right now while all of these owners in every genre are just sitting back with their feet up on the table? You know, while we're talking about the dumbest things. Like, I stopped talking about the lack of black coaches because I said, this is the thing. We aren't having the right conversations, because ownership isn't commenting on why they aren't hiring black coaches. They are the only ones with the answers. So when all the punditry and fans and everybody's talking about the lack of black coaches, you don't have the information. The only information is had by the owners. So like I'm saying, it's like, why are we scrambling here like ants and rats when, you know, we should be directing our fury and whatever up to the ownership and holding them accountable? This thing that fans have to be fans of the team that they follow, and they can't go outside the parameters of that. It's some bullshit. Okay, because if a team is going to patronize me and insult my intelligence year after year, I'm out. But fans say, "Oh, you gotta stay. You gotta stay. You got." That's where the tribalism comes in. So when you start to see how things form, you begin to have a different view, and you just try to go outside of it as much as you can to kind of find a niche. So I feel like I found a niche now in Sportskeeda. You know, it's a 3-month contract. It's a short-term contract. I don't know what's going to happen after that 3 months, but me getting my senses back, my legs back, if you will, is a good thing, because I just love to write, man. And I have to kind of represent all of those historical writers, you know, I mean, who have made me who I am. You know, even the John Henry Clarks and the Paul Robesons, you know, the John Cheneys. I was John Cheney's last interview before he retired. These dudes all give me wisdom. Being able to talk to Chuck D and Spencer Haywood, I can't stop, won't stop because of them. They reached back to me. I became, if you know anything about Public Enemy, the Harry Allen to Chuck, you know? So this is what I have to do. And when I tried to do the mainstream thing and writing for magazines and, you know, being guest spots in all these newspapers and the Washington Post, New York Times and stuff like that, it did not fulfill me. So I would go to my site and I would write all the conscious stuff. But then I was saying, you know, I want to write a piece about Aaron Rodgers. I want to write a piece about, you know, Andrew Luck or stuff like that. But I felt like if we weren't talking about racial issues in sports, then it was not going to be talked about. You know, it didn't seem like the journalists of the day were interested in speaking about the issues. This is what, again, I was, you know, being confrontational with my journalism friends, because, yo, dude, you got this platform. Why aren't you talking about certain things? Why aren't you saying the exact words, police brutality? Like, a lot of them were leaving the language out of certain things, you know, and me seeing them and me writing, you know, I'm like, the truth isn't coming out. You're delaying history by not speaking truth exactly as it is. So what I started to do is hold everybody in my life accountable. If you are bouncing trauma off me, I got to cut you off. I didn't care if it was my kids, my girl, other family members, people I love. You know, we all have friends that call us up when they're in some trouble, right? Yo, I'm going some problems with my girl or my dude, you know, and you give them advice and they don't take your advice and they end up back with those people. And then a couple months later, they come to you with the same story and you're giving them advice and they're not taking it. No, that stuff is over with. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to be my friend, you're going to be my friend. If you're going to continuously talk about your issues and not have any reciprocity with me, then I gotta cut you off. Don't take it personal. You know, it's just what it had to be. And what I started to do was gather parts of my soul back. Like it was almost like I was putting myself back together, because I was all this space that was used up with everyone else's trauma. When I began to expand that out of me, you know, I was like, oh, hold up. I'm strong again. You know, I'm not dealing with everybody else's issues. Me and my girl get into it all the time, because when things immediately happen, I say, look, baby, we're not going to do this, because if we do this, then we're going to be at each other's throat later on or 2 weeks later. You know, so we're going to have conflict resolution immediately. And if it's something that I need to hold myself accountable for, I will fully do that. So it's not just holding everybody else accountable, it's holding myself accountable first. And then, like I said, the wits and the soul just become, it came all back to me, man. It almost felt like I was, ever watch the movie Limitless?
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, you remember when he took the pill and he walked up and all the color happened?
Mm.
Okay,
the world.
Right. Yeah. That's how I feel right now. It's only because I just took back myself. That's it. You know, just think about it. Think about your individual relationships in your life, and what's good and what's toxic. What might be toxic, and you're not even really understanding that it's toxic. You know, just if you just cut them off one by one, you start to eliminate a lot of stress. You know, and you'll be able to perform and be happy, man. I mean, I was very bitter. I was bitter about the world because I just felt like I was being a servant to everybody else.
Sound like you got your peace of mind back.
Yeah. It's a slow, gradual process, but when it clicks, it clicks. Right. And people in your life don't understand how you are cutting off a behavior immediately instead of letting it fester. And then there's arguments that happen and disagreements, and you don't even know why you're mad. You don't say you don't even know why you're mad, but it's just a culmination of things that you just aren't noticing. You know, when you start to notice them, you see a change in yourself. But it's holding yourself accountable first.
I'm kind of having the mindset to set up those boundaries that you talked about. Like you got to protect your peace at all costs. So I can appreciate that.
I started smoking a whole lot of weed again too. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? Taking endorphins, make it stronger. Right?
Yeah. I ain't mad at you. I was gonna say though, I already gave this a title to this episode. I'm kind of thinking of pulling that back now because I had to set it up like protect your peace or old head wisdom or something because this has been a different episode. I should have expected as much, putting you on, like, but I always love to talk to you and glean from your experience and your wisdom, and I think I'm so glad that you are feeling the way that you feel right now, that you feel sort of reinvigorated and enlivened again, and like I say, for you to be putting out the work that you're putting out on Sportskeeda is a blessing, and it's something that I advise all of my listeners and readers to take advantage of that. So hopefully you'll be able to keep doing that for a while, and we can all benefit from that.
I mean, what I do is, man, I write a piece. I go outside. I sit down. I look in the sky. I breathe, get something to eat, get something to drink, go to the bathroom, go back in and write another piece. These are something that I used to write once a week. I'm writing 3 of them in a day, man. It's crazy for me. But it's something that I have to do for myself. It's the only way I will become the best writer that I need to be and affect change. I have to have no holes because of what I speak of. So the attention to detail in an Ernest Hemingway, Richard Wright, James Baldwin type of way is my focus now. Me talking to Chuck and Spencer is giving me a window to their generation and what happened with them, and being able to hear through their speaking to me about the truth of whatever happened and their experiences, whatever it may be. You know, I began to watch a lot of old movies. You know, I just wanted to really connect to the old soul. I went to this thing where I was, you know, listening to nothing but Donald Byrd, Roy Ayers, and Lonnie Liston Smith. You know, Roy Ayers is a friend of mine. He gave me some great interviews. That's also a seminal moment because Roy Ayers did not care that he was basically being exploited. He loved music, so he did not care what he gave back to it. People would think that they were
sampling and stuff.
Right. They thought they were stealing from him, but no, he was willingly giving it away. And he's a happier person. You know, he loves music. You know, I interviewed him, man, and Roy Ayers sang to me for like 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was crazy. But that whole era, the Donald Byrd, Onward to Morning is one of my favorite tracks. Donald Byrd. You know, I just get in the car and open the sunroof and let that blow. But yeah, it was reconnecting to the music. I needed that whole raucous effect. You know what I mean? That most common in Talib, high tech. You know what I mean? I needed to somehow get that back. Because, you know, I got it back a little bit. Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. You know, I started listening to Fold Clothes a lot. You know, Saint Tropez. You know, just you know, Lupe Fiasco, just the laid back stuff that he has, Wiz Khalifa. You know, I had to connect because whenever I write a piece, I put on the music in the background, whatever the theme is. You know, I try to connect it in a way, whether it's a fast, slow, or slow song, or a rock song, or hip hop, or Shaka Khan. This Is Your Night. You know, I get I get a lot of music from a lot of things. A lot of it's music. But again, I had to shut off the bitterness in my soul to be able to be open to what makes me tick.
It's a great knowledge, you know, right there, man, and you know, really information that you know we definitely gonna take with us, and you know, we really appreciate you, you know, giving that to us on this evening, Mike. Man, we gonna wrap up, man, because I don't know. We can sit here for a few more hours and talk to you for real, but
man, I got 2 pieces to write anyway, man.
Yeah, we gotta keep it moving, but
I got 2 days home though.
But if you want to just mention those upcoming pieces that you got coming out again, and just tell the people where they can follow you and follow your stuff on Sportskeeda.
Well, just go to sportskeeda.com. They got an app for it. I truly feel this is going to be something that's going to explode, especially when I get into Sixers covers. I'm going to cover the Sixers every day. I had to make a decision. Was it going to be the Eagles or the Sixers? You know, because of the Ben Simmons stuff, I thought that I made a calculated decision, risk to cover the Eagles over Jalen Hurts. You know, it hurt me to not be able to cover that New England Philadelphia game because Cam Newton is one of the guys that I haven't talked to. So I was really wanting to talk to him. You know, I have an affinity for black quarterbacks because that's my metaphor for life, to be able to speak about them and what they do.
I say you put yourself out on the line with Cam. I remember bringing you on to D and Davis, you know, for some Cam discussions, and me and you have had some good private discussions about Justin Fields. I'm gonna have to bring you on a football show coming up. We'll talk about
it, man. I missed it. I love football. I'm gonna hate watching it and not being in that press box. So y'all be my eyes, man. You doing your thing. You know, be my eyes in there, y'all, please, because I miss it. I miss the locker room, all that kind of stuff. But I got it has to be fulfilled in basketball, and I'm cool with that.
But right quick though, before we wrap up, because like I said, you're gonna be embedded with the Sixers again, and like I said, we don't want to boil it down just to this, but this is the biggest part of the story. Like, what in your opinion will Ben Simmons be on that team for opening night?
It's a weird thing, but I think that he almost has to be. The only thing that is going to derail that at this point, because the free agency is kind of, wrapping up, and there isn't like this disgruntled player that's going to fall off a tree that's going to be equal in a trade.
Yeah.
I'm telling people here right now who are of this Dame Lillard for Ben Simmons thing, they crazy. You have 3 elite defenders in an offensive league. You could change the entire league if it all comes together. The thing is, does Ben Simmons want to play here? I thought it was a red flag when he was at LSU and I was seeing his high shooting percentage. But then I saw him in preseason and the gifts that he had passing. I want that guy on my team. I don't know. I mean, he flies to LA during the season. He wants to be in LA. I get it. I understand it. He's a globalist. He's not from Philly. He ain't from Chicago. He don't think like that. Like they have a different thought. Him and Joel Embiid might be falling out of a plane right this very second. That's what they do. They go across the world and do the things that we should be doing here. So we ain't arguing about LeBron and Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? We bouncing trauma off each other all the time. That's what I'm saying. I can't. It gives me anxiety. I get claustrophobic. I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? I tell my girl now, as soon as see ya. And I will come back until that sunroof is popped and that whatever music that is, it could be Man Paris, hip hop, bebop. You know what I'm saying? It could be whatever. It could be some Cranberries, Zombie. You know what I'm saying? I love music, and it affects me, and that's what I want to give to the world somehow. But I can't sing and I can't play no instrument, so I gotta write it.
Well, I'm gonna say right quick there's a real discussion I think that could be had there when you mention the thoughts of a globalist or in some ways a humanist as opposed to what the sort of local, sort of more enclosed thinking that a lot of us brothers have here in America. So that's for another show. But yeah, I get what you're saying though, in the way that affects Ben that may affect Ben Simmons' thinking and his outlook on life, and the way it actually may work as a guard for him.
It's not a weakness.
The criticism that he's getting.
It definitely is. I'm trying to tell Philadelphia fans, look, y'all out there eating horse poop, okay? So y'all shouldn't have any perspective about anybody that's going on in anybody's life. This is not to hold Ben Simmons accountable. This is just to say, hold up, y'all. Aren't you sick of Wilt Chamberlain being traded, Charles Barkley being traded, Allen Iverson being traded, Andre Iguodala being traded? Now you want to trade a 6'10" dude who's 25, who's probably going to be top 5 all time in triple doubles. And as you saw in the Atlanta series, Trae Young shot 5 for 23 in that game 7. He shot like 32% for the entire series. Bennett was guarding him. He was able to get to that 3 at the key and deflect it. Why are you thinking about trading some? I don't give a damn what's going on in Ben Simmons' head. If you want to fly to LA and do whatever, dude, we need you here because you and Joel Embiid can be something dangerous if you develop your game. You're seeing in these workouts how he's shooting 30-foot threes and all these things. I need him to do that. But the Sixers organization, also in holding him accountable, has to understand that you got to put the right pieces around a talent like that. If he goes to Golden State, that dynasty is back. It is back. He's driving to the middle of the floor and dishing out to the perimeter of all these dudes that can shoot. How many assists would he average?
He beat Draymond Green 2.0.
Yeah. And he's 6'10" and way more athletic.
Mm-hmm.
You will learn everything from him. I don't want this kid to go nowhere. I'm being very selfish. I'm being Daffy Duck within the oyster shell. No, mine, all mine. You know what I'm saying? This Ben Simmons piece has been mentioned all week on the ESPN radio here, and they've talked about it. So people are understanding different things about Ben Simmons now. All I said was this: we don't know what's going on in his personal life. If you found out that somebody was molesting your sister when she was 3 years old, how would that affect you at 25 years old? Okay, so what I saw was his game fell off a cliff after the announcement of that in April. I think it was April 21st. The only outlet that posted something about it was the New York Post. So again, I'm looking on the outside, right? I'm looking as a reader now. I really wasn't writing anything. And I'm saying, so I have to write this. I have to write it. And I'm catching some barbs a little bit. People saying, especially I'm here in Philly, they saying, no, we don't care about that. We care about the floor, and that's it. There's more to this. We're going to have some athletes that's going to fall through the cracks. And I spoke about the aforementioned, the Simone Biles and everybody else. Every athlete is not going to go through the same things that we go through the same way. So we got to kind of cut them people slack and allow them to get over what they ever need to go through. But I think it's going to be too late here in Philadelphia. I think that the relationship is severed with the fan and Ben Simmons. I think that they will probably throw something at him in these games. Seriously, it's ridiculous to me, but I think that it's going to happen. But I don't know what's going to happen on September 28th when camp opens. I'm going to be there as media day and see what happens. I hope that the brother's here, and I hope that this could be some type of success story. But I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm just tired of my city feeding the nation to championships. Tired of that.
You really hit it on the head though. Look, let's list in that history. I never thought of that. Like all y'all big guys, except for Dr. J, because he was traded there.
But they tried to trade Doc. They tried to trade
him too.
Tried to trade Doc. They traded Maurice Cheeks. He found out from a journalist, Michael Barkan, in his driveway that he was traded to the Nets. They traded Moses Malone.
Yeah.
And for Jeff Ruland. Jeff Ruland played 6 games here. So what happened? They began a trend of these stiff big men that we had that was always getting hurt. And the whole team was just so cash strapped that they couldn't do anything. But what I'm saying is we have to hold the front offices accountable. If you're just talking about the players, you're not holding the front office accountable. And some of these dudes is just straight stupid. I'm not speaking about anybody specifically right now. I'm talking about in the past that they've just been allowed to fester in these bad decision making and putting age caps on players because their evaluation system was so fouled up that they didn't understand the player that they had in front of them. Yeah. This insulation for these front offices is ridiculous. Then you got a guy like Troy Weaver that finally gets a job in Detroit after he just been sitting under Sam Presti like some slave. All right, y'all. I'm sorry.
Let's just leave it at that, man. Let's just leave it.
But see, let me just say that this is the reason why I'm with Sportskeeda, because I can tone myself down a little bit. Yeah. I don't have to give them all of me. I'm just giving them the knowledge of my mind. That's it. I'm not giving them anything. I don't have to speak about white supremacy. I'm in India with a laptop, basically. It's a whole different thing.
whatever you focus on or whatever you approach, man. Like I said, it's a benefit to us that we get your opinion and your thoughts on it, man. So
Absolutely.
definitely we're gonna keep trying to feed off your energy here with what we do, and I'll say keep putting pressure on them, big Mike, man. Keep putting pressure on them, and we gonna try to feed off of that energy and do what we can do as well, man.
I got you, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Bring me on anytime. Y'all can hit me up anytime, man. Just I'm
glad to know that you're gonna be following the Sixers like you are. Like I said, this is a basketball show, so we definitely gonna keep you on. We'll get back to you, I should say, to talk about them and other stuff in the league as the season unfolds, this upcoming season unfolds. And yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to that, man.
Yep.
Thank you, brother. So, because I will be that window. I will find out what's going on with Ben Simmons. I will.
I definitely. I have no doubt you will. I have no doubt you will. But we're gonna sign off that for, like I said, this has been a unique episode of Runnin Before, but it's been a great one.
Yeah.
And I
appreciate delirious, y'all. My bad. I'm delirious right now.
Man, you were great. You were great. Mike, the one and only Michael Tillery, Drew Stevens right there. You see the tag there. Look what Drew did. Follow him on Twitter and IG. Same for Joshua M. Hicks. Like I said, they got their episode. They talked amongst each other on Josh's show In the Scope. You could watch that and listen to that now on our platforms. And we'll be back. Maybe we will be back next week. I can't. I don't know. We'll try to be back soon. Like I said, this is a little bit of a downtime, but when news breaks, we definitely gonna jump on it. Be it a Ben Simmons trade if it comes out of nowhere, or something with Laurie Marketing. I don't know, but we'll see. Like, so we just gonna lay in the cut for a little bit here for this next month. But by the time the camps come back around and stuff, we gonna definitely get back into high focus the league and its goings on as we get back to this new season. But like I say, basketball never stops, and neither do us here running with WARR, and neither does the band Michael Tillery. We don't stop. We can't stop. And in the meantime, we're gonna keep bouncing. And that's it for now, y'all. Y'all be cool out there. Stay safe. And stay vigilant. Stay awoke. Stay woke.
Hell yeah. Be peace, y'all. Be peace.
Peace.
Yes, sir.
We out. All right.